Whilst interviewing Candi Staton, she spoke about her meeting for the first time with Ray Charles.
What would you say has been the greatest moment in your musical career?
Oh, Lord, I've had so many of them. The greatest moment, I think, my buddy who's gone, was Ray Charles.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Ray was my friend. He was my heart. I opened for him in Las Vegas at the Aladdin for a week when I first met him. And I am not an egotistical person. I just figure my work is a job. Like a secretary or anybody else, I figure when I do my work, I get off that stage and wipe my sweat, change my clothes, I'm back to me.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not egotistical about it. I'm not like I'll have 20 bodyguards pushing people out of the way as I come through. I don't believe in all that stuff, you know. I'll speak to you, I'll hug you, I will hold you, you know, and I will autograph your pictures. But there are a lot of people that won't do that. So, and I had been burned so many times, you know, when I went into dressing rooms of superstars, quote unquote, and they ignored me and acted as though I was nothing. And I left feeling really bad.
Yes.
And I go back into my room and sit down and think, I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again. She'll never embarrass me no more. And then when I did Ray Charles, I was in my dressing room. He was in his dressing room. And I didn't go over there. The first night I just walked on stage and sung my opening and went back to the hotel. You know, I listened to him for a little while. So I have time to see his show. We're here for 5 days, you know. Then the next night I got dressed. It was about, I guess, an hour, 2 hours before I was to go on. He sent one of his guys over there and told me, he said, go to Candi Staton's dressing room and tell her if I could see, I walk over there and say hello to her.
Wow.
Oh, you should have seen me. I said, oh, God. I went through the door. I ran down the hall. And he's sitting there grinning. He's sitting there just smiling. I said, I'm sorry, Ray. I thought you were like the rest of them.
Uh-huh.
He said, what rest of them? I said, the ones that act so crazy when you go in and say hi because they're so big for me. And he said, oh, girl, sit down and have some amaretto with me. And every night after that night, when I got dressed, I would go to his room. He said, same time tomorrow night? I said, yes, same time tomorrow night. He would have amaretto and coffee. That's what he took.
Uh-huh.
He'd sit there and we both get a little high. And we'd have our little amaretto and coffee every night. I would go down there, he'd have it in his little thermos bottle. And he'd come over and get your medicine. And I remember the last time I saw him, I was with David Guest. He had a Christmas party at in New York at what is it, that big place? I forget, it just slips my mind. But Ray was there, and he was in his dressing room, and I saw his name, and I knocked on the door.
Uh-huh.
And he said, who is it? I said, it's Candi Staton. He said, oh, don't go, tell her not to leave. Let me get my pants on. And he said, I want her to walk me to the stage because he was getting ready to go on. And I stood outside the door, and he came out, and I grabbed his arm. And he kissed me on my jaw, and we talked. And it was a good walk, too, to that stage. We walked all the way around. I'm trying to think of that big auditorium that's in New York. But it just slips my mind at the moment. I guess I'm having a senior moment. But but we walked to the stage, and I noticed that his feet were very swollen.
Yeah.
Very, very swollen. And I walked into he has house shoes on. And I walked into the stage, and he was so funny. He said, when we were walking to the stage, he said, wonder why you and me never got together. I said, Ray, go on. You're my friend. You go on. You know better.